HBO has announced a new Game of Thrones spinoff or new series. This is according to Deadline. Hold on. Breaking news. Alec Baldwin, criminal charges to be dropped in fatal Rust shooting. And man, it must be nice to be a celebrity. You get to murder anybody you want. You get to kill people all day long and get away with it. This sucks. No, I think that is bullshit. He was a boss on that set, though. He was like a producer, so he was part of the arranging money and whether they should have used union work, which they didn't, which is why they had problems on that set. Anyway, let's stay focused here. So, Game of Thrones, Dunk and Egg prequel, Night of Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Night, gets HBO series order. The Dunk and Egg thing, now that's when I first read that, I was like, that just sounds like some lame pun. Like it's an above average pun. I've heard much worse, clearly. But here we go. Another Game of Thrones series is on the way. HBO announced during the Warner Brothers Discovery Max presentation Wednesday that it's given a series order to, and here's the title, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, The Hedge Night, based on George R.R. Martin's Dunk and Egg fantasy novellas. So he I don't know anything about it. It must sound like a real big rube here, but he must have a thing called Dunk and Egg, which is the title, huh? That's a whole freaking thing. He titled stuff. I get it. It's not a bad pun. And actually, I think George R.R. Martin does a good job with, like, I read the Game of Thrones books. There's a jester character that's not like a big one. It's like a scene where a guy shows up and he does all these funny little things. The way he describes it is very, like, I don't know what's accurate. What the hell do I know? But they weren't like comedians of the era of art, what we picture as being like the funny, but they had weird little, they were like the Johnny Knoxville, the Jackass guys. They were like basically that. They did like physical pranks and pratfall sort of slapstick humor, but they also were sort of like magicians, I think. But I just remember him describing this, comedian showing up to this, jester character showing up to this like party of lords and shit and like bouncing around and like making birds appear and then like eating things and spinning, like doing kind of cartwheels. So like, but I think there was times of that era where they weren't all frowning constantly. So like, this is plausible that there's some kind of bad pun existed back then. I don't know. The way he uses English is above average. The Game of Thrones prequel series is written and executive produced by Martin and Ira Parker. House of the Dragons co-creator, executive producer, showrunner Ryan Condal, and Vince Gerardis will also executive produce. So everybody loves a good Vince Gerardis. So here's the official logline. A century before the events of Game of Thrones, two unlikely heroes wandered Westeros. A young, naive, but courageous knight, Sir Duncan the Tall, and his diminutive squire, Egg, set in an age when the Targaryen line still holds the Iron Throne, and the memory of the last dragon has not passed from living memory. Great destinies, powerful foes, and dangerous exploits all await these improbable and incomparable friends. So it's an unlikely animal friendship. It's like when a dog is buddies with a goat. When a chicken is friends with a fox. The most adorable kind of friendships. We got a tall guy who's friends with his employee, Egg, the squire. So Duncan and Egg. Dunk and Egg. Well done. You got to dunk your egg somewhere. You don't dunk eggs. You dunk donuts. You dunk... What else do you dunk? You dunk basketballs. You don't dunk an egg. You dunk for apples? Is that dunking? Dunking feels like a word that doesn't... Not. What else do you dunk? I will when you dip your shrimp in a shrimp cocktail. I think you could call that dunking. Right? Let me know in the comments below. Known as Dunk and Egg, the drama was one of several prequel ideas in development at HBO behind the House of the Dragon. The project, which went through multiple writers, had emerged as frontrunner for a series order over the past several months. So like, guys, we got to do some more Game of Thrones stuff. That crap's made us a lot of money. Look at all these Legos. HBO has just started production on a second season of Game of Thrones prequel, House of the Dragon. There's also a Jon Snow spinoff in the works. I wonder if it's young Jon Snow and he's just a lowly scumbag bastard, or maybe after he becomes the hero of Westeros. Does he live? He's alive at the end of the one, right? I don't remember. Why would I know that? I remember him squeezing out of all the horses and the horse butts and the humans, where it seemed like he should have been suffocating, but he got out because he's a main actor. I really liked House of the Dragon, actually. Bit of a slow build, I thought, but it seemed like it had a sense of purpose from its outset. That was recently on HBO. I've only watched it once. I usually like watching these kinds of things multiple times before I get too serious about keeping it real on a podcast. But I was kind of bored with the first few episodes, not like extremely despondent, like, oh, I can't take it. It was just like, all right, come on, let's see where this, and then, we get a bunch of white people having weird violence and fucking each other. So, that's pretty much all I ever hope for out of a movie about people who wear feathers and bows and around their necks, and then they run around and get into violence fights because nobody wants to work. No, none of the leaders want to do any of the actual work. They just want to control people who do the fishing and the sweeping and the poop stuff. All these rich leaders of everything are just like, they just want to not work. Everything to avoid farming. Everything to avoid having to pick up a tool for a fucking first time in their life. So, but they, at least back in those days, they put children on dragons, and there were no learner's permits. They didn't have any regulations, so he ended up with a lot of dragon poop that had children bones in it. There you go. That's a fun one.